All right, here we are. We are in middle of October. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be talking about the winter forecast now. This will be the snow season forecast. Keep in mind, this is very, very difficult to predict. I mean, we have a tough time predicting even 7 days in advance. So to think that we're going to look 3, 4, 5 months in advance is kind of crazy. But we can at least give a little bit of a blueprint of what may happen here during the snow season. So here we go. Hey, first thing I wanted to show you is this is the precipitation now over the last 3 months during the summer. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm going to show you a bit of a weather pattern that has developed here during the summer and into the early fall. And what I wanted to show you is this is the departures from normal now, percent departures from normal. And look at how wet it has been over the Dakotas, Montana, the Intermountain West, and contrast that with the dry air over the southern United States, which is a little bit of a surprise, and I'm going to show you why. Long story short, there's been a trough that has been kind of sitting right out here, and on the nose of that trough or that jet stream is where you get inclement weather. And it has been dry for the most part here in the northern parts of the United States. And this is pretty important because there's been a predominant northwest flow, west and northwest flow across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then into the Great Lakes. And that has kept us, for the most part, dry. But of course, it's been wet here over the last month. Now, we are in an El Nino weather pattern, a pretty strong one. And this is usually what happens across North America during an El Nino. We get that west and northwest flow across eastern Canada and portions of the United States and the Great Lakes. And then a pretty strong jet stream stays south across the southern sections of the United States. Okay, this is where an active storm track often develops, is across the deep south on towards the southwestern sections of the United States, and we get what's called a split flow. So we get one jet stream, a polar jet here just north of Minnesota, and then a more of a subtropical jet stream across the southern United States. In the middle is kind of a no man's land, and usually that's a warm area and sometimes can be dry because of a west to northwest flow across the northern United States and portions of southern Canada. And you probably already guessed that could bring some Alberta clippers, at least certainly more than we've had the last couple of years. Now, looking at the snow totals over at Twin Cities International Airport now, and you can see this goes all the way back to the 1950s and 40s and even 30s. So we've got a lot of data here that we're looking at, but I'm just going to focus here on the last 10 to 20 years and look at the snow totals last winter during the snow season of 22 and 23. We had over 90 inches at Twin Cities International. In fact, almost all of Minnesota and Wisconsin had well above average snow totals. Now, keep in mind, the average snow totals in the Twin Cities are right around 50 to 55 inches. And you can see ever since 2017, 2018, the winter of 17 and 18, we've had near or above average snowfall. So that's a string of 6 years or so now of near or above average snowfalls in the Twin Cities. So we are due, I think, for a below average snowfall in the Twin Cities because it's tough to string together 6, 7, 8 near or above average snowfall winters in a row. And again, I'm scrolling through all these seasonal snowfalls at Twin Cities International. And look, there's just not a lot of them where we string 5, 6, 7 seasons together of above or near or above average snowfall. So we're due for a near or below average snowfall winter. I did want to show you just one thing real quick. And this is actually kind of important. This is a graph from the Department of Natural Resources in Minnesota. And this is going to tie pretty well together with the El Nino that we're in. And I don't think anybody is going to be surprised with this, but these are the minimum temperatures. So nighttime lows, they've been getting warmer over the last 100 years plus. You can see how our temperature has been going up at night. All right. And a lot of that has to do with urbanization in America and the United States and across the world. But I don't think there's also any doubt that our overnight lows are getting warmer, and I think that's going to be the case this winter, where we are going to have unusually warm overnight lows probably, and we're probably not going to get the bitter cold string of days and nights where we string together a week or two of a bone-chilling cold. That is usually another a thing that we miss out on when it comes to an El Nino winter. So expect some overnight lows on the average to be near or above average here in the Twin Cities metro in southern Minnesota, in western Wisconsin here as we go through the winter months. Now, the Climate Prediction Center also is thinking kind of the same way I am. With that El Nino weather pattern, we get that split flow. Of course, you get the jet stream north of us, the polar jet, and then another subtropical jet south of us. That keeps us fairly warm up in Minnesota and Wisconsin and the upper Midwest for the winter. This is a January, February, and March outlook. If we go to their November, December, and January outlook, they're thinking the same thing as far as temperatures, with above average temperatures for much of the northern United States. Now, when we look at precipitation from November through January, they're expecting it to be above average across much of the southern U.S. And when we look at February, March, and April, they again are expecting that storm track over the southern U.S. to be active, while we are near or below average, the way it appears, for precipitation here in the northern sections of the United States, including Minnesota, Wisconsin. And I'm tending to agree with this. I think for the most part, we'll just go back to this map here. This is for January, February, and March, but I think this is in general for the whole snow season of 2023 and 24. I think we're going to be near or just a little bit below average in snowfall here over Minnesota and Wisconsin. And I think the temperatures are going to be near or above average, with our overnight lows being at times well above average. So that means whenever we do get snowfalls, they probably are going to have a good opportunity to melt even in January and February as we get those January or February thaws that will eat away at the snowpack. And I'm also expecting quite a few Alberta clippers as we go through this season. So there you go. There's your winter outlook. Again, real difficult to predict. Take this with a grain of salt. But we are due for a near or below average snowfall total for this season. Take care. We will talk more as we get into November.